One of the things I want to actually quick run through here as we go through our podcast for the third time around is how quickly you can troubleshoot these problems, though. It's critical that this is going to happen to anyone who's going live in our setting, because right now it's like I'm literally relying on my home computer and internet to shoot it out to the cloud, and then on top of it, I'm relying on Facebook and Restream services to be running perfectly. And I'm going to actually demo what exactly happened, why both had some issues here going live, which is kind of annoying because it basically wastes a good amount of time that I'm trying to just live stream here. So let's go ahead and jump in here. So we are going to be walking through the OBS and Restream, but before we get into that, I want to quick remind you guys, I am live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central. The setup time, just so you know, for these kind of live streams from literally bare none to what you're seeing now is about 30 to 45 minutes. And that's just kind of, again, trying to get a quick thing pieced together. We also put together a graph here, which is hilarious. This is literally what happened to me tonight, just now, is the fact that if you go to Down Detector, they are a service that basically lets you check how the status is of YouTube, of Facebook, and all this stuff. And that massive red spike means that there is actually problems happening at Facebook. So I just happen to be one of those guys. I didn't press the button though, but I mean, it's kind of obvious that's what was going on. So for those of you guys who are back on, and I'm going to take a couple seconds here to again reshare this yet again for those who are watching through this. It is rather annoying to have these kind of moments happen, but that's why I've often said, like, patience and peace to all of those who are actually having to put up with all this stuff. So bear with me as I kind of just quick jump through and share this stuff. Yeah, I know the people at Church Social Media Managers, thank you for letting me quick post a live stream in here. So we are actually going to cover Restream and OBS finally, but I think it's important that we all witness the issue that happens all the time here on Facebook. And I think a lot of you who are in these different groups have faced it. It's the moment where you're like, dude, Facebook is down, and then you have all the people in the world wondering why Facebook is down. So that is what happened to us. But this detector is actually super helpful. One of the reasons I pitch Restream, even though I'm, you might say, well, you're having issues right now, why should I use it? It's because right now, if I want to, I can literally send a message within about 10 minutes. On a busy night, maybe it's worse. They will literally get me, bar none, what's going on in our stream. And one of the things that we're going to cover here tonight, when Facebook isn't having issues, Robbie's back, we're good. No, but one of the things that we'll cover when Facebook's not being down is basically how can you set your stream to success. And the annoying part is you have to basically set the bar to where's the lowest common denominator. So we're going to walk through basically settings. We're going to walk through all of the things that are important and critical when you're prepping your live stream. And I've already done several videos on lighting. You can already see smart lighting being in use here too. If I hop back here to my first initial slide, you'll see again, like we've got blue lights going on, again, creating just again a dynamic image. But because I know I'm generally working like this, it doesn't matter. So let's dive into it. No more wasting our time here. Again, 9 p.m. See you here on tomorrow. We also have a Facebook group. It's Livestream Church, but honestly, there's a billion groups who are doing an awesome job. The only reason I'm even and that's OBS. Let's talk about it. And so we're going to do a walkthrough.
This is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war.
on audio here? Do I see audio? Yes, we have audio. All right. So literally, you're seeing a billion tech support nonsense that I have to basically deal with on a hilarious amount of times. One is audio that cuts out, and that is one of the things that's annoying. So thank you guys for joining and hanging with. Check my other episodes, and you'll see that there's a lot easier thing. So apparently, I'm not supposed to share with you an OBS walkthrough. That's just not supposed to happen here. But we're going to go ahead and push through anyways. As I mentioned before, Facebook's been giving us issues. We just had issues here with an audio disconnect, but that's just what it is. So let's jump into this. We talked about where you guys are from. We got Illinois here. We've got, I know a lot of you guys who are jumping in from various different places you guys have been on. I know you guys are all over the U.S. here. So let's jump in. For those who are jumping later and check this out on the later, on a replay, you'll kind of get a good walkthrough here. So one of the things, the reason why I pitch this setup often is because I think when we talk about churches and we talk about people who are, that actually is a great thing. What would be helpful is how to diagnose and fix these issues. So some of these are, indicative of the supplies that we're dealing with. When I will pause real quick on this multi-streaming thing. When the stay-at-home order came through, supplies from Amazon became limited. I'm assuming, hopefully, even though it sounds like in the next 2 months things will be even worse on Amazon's side. At least that's what the news was today. And this is April, I think it's, 16th today? Yeah. So the news today was for the next 2 months, things are going to get tight. And so I'm trying to utilize techniques and tools that are available for anybody. This was Best Buy, had this actually in stock. It's an Elgato Terrible HD60, which in a lot of ways is a hack. Before this was the Blackmagic mini recorder, which is better, but it also doesn't handle well with Sony cameras. There literally is a menu hack where you have to turn on and off your display, info display, for it to even kick on. It's really weird. Honestly, best bets is the ATEM Mini or the ATEM Mini Pro. The turnkey solution, which I've pitched to pastors, has been the Teradek Video Go or Video Pro. The Video Pro is older, so the support level is less. It's cheaper though. You can get it for like $500, while the Video Go is much more expensive. It's around the $1,200 range, but literally it's from the entire process that I'm about to demo in terms of OBS as just streaming it online can be done in that box. You press record and it goes up to restream and gets sent out. So it takes away a lot of the complexity. You can also do things like RTMP pull links, which lets you basically do lower thirds and become a video village in a completely different house. I'll be demoing that tomorrow actually at the church that I go to. So multi-streaming. Why am I even suggesting this? As you guys know, the fact that I just demoed the fact of Facebook having some fun problems means that you need to be able to stream to different sources, and it is actually critical. So when Facebook goes down, YouTube's typically going still very strong. The same is true being able to do Twitch, Mixer, getting yourself on as many platforms as possible is helpful. But when you have moments where broadcast delays happen or internet connections stop, you gotta, do what you gotta do. So let's dive into this. If you have somebody who's wanting to go through, I think we've proven we're at 9 minutes here that we can continue streaming without the Facebook people shutting us down. But if you know somebody who needs to jump onto OBS, now's the time to do it. But before we get into that, I'm going to actually do a quick poll, and I want to basically run through a question with you guys, which is I want to know what is typically your setup for live streaming. It could be that you have no live streaming, so hit me up in the comments right now. You may not be able to see it, but I'm actually looking through these comments in real time right now. So I'd like to know, are you, do you have a setup right now? Are you using your phone? Are you using a laptop? Or are you using an actual OBS type setup? It could be vMix, it could be, Wirecaster. There's a whole bunch of other services out there too. You could be using a webcam through Restream if you wanted to. But what are you using currently? So let's hear you in the chat here to see what you guys are up to. Voice and no streaming. Lovely. What do you mean, Robbie, by Vox and no equals no streaming? Wait, Vox is not actually streaming. I know Robbie. He's an awesome guy over at one of the churches here that's local. Well, let's help fix Vox. I think Zoom is and my first episode that I put together, and I could do some recaps on it as well. I'm debating actually on Thursdays and like trimming down my schedule. Right now it's every day at 9 p.m. But yeah. For Vox and young adults, I think a good combination, like young adults, a good combination is Zoom. It's nice to get, I mean, you can use Zoom House Party. You can do, you know, you want to pick, again, where the culture's at. I feel like Instagram is actually a good direction to take, and doing, I think one person that I don't think is actually on right now, but Juan Martinez, I was a part of a Zoom chapel that he did, and I think that concept's awesome. The fact that you can bring in a speaker, everybody's there, but then one thing that people are not able to actually do, which we're doing right now, is this ask a question moment. You can actually just, I'm stopping the feed here and throw out questions like this. So I think for Vox, I see Zoom as a great option. If you are already, as a church, paying for rooms for ministries, then you can actually, and this is pretty awesome, when I walk through Restream with you guys, you can actually take a Zoom feed, literally from Zoom, and there's plenty of walkthroughs here on the Livestream Church. I will post up a link to one of the videos. That's the group that I have on Facebook. I will post up a video that lets you basically, again, link Zoom to Restream, no intermediaries, and just stream it out to the cloud. I think the benefit too is because it's young adults, there is not the issues that you would run into with youth groups, where you kind of do want that privacy. You don't want everybody to be able to see them. You don't want them to be all streamed. Okay, good. So you are doing Zoom groups currently on Thursdays, but looking for streaming services, worship sets, devos. So tool-wise, and I will quick shoot you guys out a example, and it's hilarious that I'm doing this in real time, but I would honestly recommend for worship sets. Now you can do it even in the setup. If you look at yesterday's episode, I was pulling in multiple cameras, but the sync is an issue with it. When you hit worship, you can do a single angle, but having the ability to hop between multiple is a much better scenario. I will say that honestly, as I mentioned earlier, Amazon is not, things are not looking great in the realm of Amazon being able to deliver things in a reasonable amount of time. They're actually talking about literally just making you not want to purchase stuff, which is really sad, but it's because they're just bogged down ad nauseum. So here's a current link, and actually you'll see even delays on this. So that is Adorama, where you can actually use, again, the Blackmagic ATM Mini Pro, and that's what I recommend. I will send you an Amazon link as well for this, because to me, like, that is currently an option. You get basically the ability to switch between 4 different channels. Okay, even iRig stream for audio. So you're currently using even a phone. We're at that point. Now the cool thing is you can still, again, restream what I'm going to run through. You can actually do on a phone, and I'll actually leave a little bit of time here at the end to walk you through how to do that. Because again, like, the point is to check as many boxes as possible right now. And then the other thing is to manage your comments. So right now, while I am streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, Twitter, you know, like whatever, you know, whatever side of things you might want to share to, I'm able to keep track of all these comments at the same time, which is huge. And I demoed that yesterday. So real quick, let me send you over that link here for the, this is Amazon here. That is for the ATM Mini Pro. Huge deal for if you're trying to do worship, basically. Multi-cameras just helps. Now, again, you have to have multiple cameras to use. If you don't, there is a way to leverage multiple iPhones. There are actually apps out there that can do that, that can help generally in the sync category, but you are 100% right. You have to pull in the audio in a way that's clean, and then work with it from there. So let's jump in, and I think the biggest thing right now is let's actually take us straight here into Restream, which is going to be probably the most important thing. So there are multiple different setups here, but this is currently what I'm using for Restream. and you can actually see on here that we've got, it's showing you all the channels that are currently online and streaming. It's going to give me an actual bit rate of what I'm sending out. Now I do see this also on my OBS platform as well. Like green means go when it comes to the CPU and also to the upload. And I'm not really pushing it that hard. Again, I'm intentionally going lower on all this stuff. For the sake of not having things crash, I'm going to go ahead and just pause this. But you can already see like some of the super useful things that you can find on here. One is there is a, actually I'm going to point that way because it's technically that way. And let me do this for the sake of, again, people being able to kind of see what's happening here. We'll just let it refresh here. And I can drag out, OBS is letting me do these kind of things in real time. So even though it looks funky, I'm able to actually make modifications here. But you can see on here an eye count. Currently there's 5 people, which is so sad. I had more. Somebody's on Livestream Church. Thank you guys, you have my heart. But you can see already how, again, it can keep track of basically how many different people are on there. Zoom, you can actually send Zoom into this as well. And the way that it works, again, you have to think of it as almost an intermediary. So like right now, and actually I'm kind of demoing it right now. Right now I'm in the camera. The camera gets brought to the computer in OBS and then is streamed out to Restream, which is a service. And it lets you, and again, my apologies for this thing kind of flickering here. I think it's just, again, as a result of the fact that I have a live video here in Restream. But it lets you basically, again, put, you know, there we go. You guys are so patient. Thank you guys already for enjoying this little live demo here as we kind of walk through this. Part of it is, again, the setup that I'm choosing to use here is what's giving me some fun issues here. But and again, changing it from where I'm doing video game streaming back to live streaming without actually doing any tests. There you go. But this is one of the really powerful things, again, that you can do with Restream is you can change all the titles automatically all at once. And then you can dive in. If I were to edit this, I can actually put in my description here. I can set my category. There's a ton of huge features. And the important thing is you're able to do this, you know, all at once, basically. Looks like we've got audio, another error. No, Facebook is literally giving me trouble right now. That's so sad. But that is for the... there we go, good. We are still technically running here, which is good. All right. Yeah, just in case if there are other disconnections, don't feel bad. I'm going to quick go to my original slide, which basically says, hey, Facebook is messed up right now, so give me some patience. But back into Restream, this is one of the useful things that you can do here is, again, you're trying to pull in multiple different sources and distribute them. And to me, again, like it's kind of like Buffer or Hootsuite or later, these services that, again, pull together multiple different social networks so you can stream. That's what this service is. You know, my wife is awesome. I would be freaking out too if it wasn't for the fact that Facebook is actually having down issues anyways. But she's awesome for that. No, I think the key thing to keep in mind is, again, later.com. This is a Hootsuite and Buffer. This is what Restream is to streaming. So the setup here is actually pretty easy. You're on dashboard. Once you get it, it just looks literally like this. I'm going to pause it again so it doesn't freak out on me. But you're able to put in, again, adding in a channel, and then you just authenticate with Facebook. And if you do it the correct way, so you're authenticating with YouTube, you're authenticating with Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, Twitter. When you do that, you're able to basically get comments in line. So right now I am seeing, like, my wife's like, please show us how you fix it. And again, we're talking stock stuff. Like if I'm, if I was, instead of using what I would think that most people are able to operate with, which is something they get from Best Buy, something that they sat and waited for from B&H for a week or 2 or 3, then typically the issues that you run into are not as bad as this. So Elgato has been more issue prone than I think I would have preferred. While the mini recorder, everything is, there are moments where essentially just unplugging and plugging back in kicks it back on. That's kind of the weird thing with some of the older Blackmagic stuff. The newer things are generally pretty painless, which is also why, again, I pitch different services to different folks. If you're willing to tweak it and work with it, then it's not a big deal. All right, so this is Restream, and the basic setup is once you've signed up, and you can get a free membership if you want here. I do recommend trying to get rid of the branding. That's just kind of a thing, and you can do that right here in settings here. You're able to switch that off. You're able to monitor your stream. Biggest deal too is if there's issues, they will actually let you know. So down here, where you can actually chat with like an actual physical person, while they are busy because they are getting slammed, it's huge that you're able to basically get answers to questions really quickly. Being able to check out analytics after a post goes through, how many people were actually on it, who was engaged and for how long. All that gets collected from every single source. So that means YouTube, Facebook, everything is collected into one. And of course, you can always go to those specific social networks anyways and find those things, but it's super, super helpful. The other thing that's helpful, I have not used it because I, again, tend to view social alerts. It should be something custom, but you can automatically have these things sent out as well to Discord, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And then over here, which is kind of harder to see, so I'll open it up. They do have a live studio feature, which is pretty awesome. I'm not going to click on it for the sake of, again, seeing my feed get kicked out. But Live Studio lets you basically do it just from a webcam. And actually, you're seeing a hilarious stair-stepping effect that's happening right now. But again, this Live Studio option is great. Chat, all that does is just basically opens up a Mac OS X specific app for that. And I'm actually going to quick demo that here, which let's quick see here. Give me 1 second to pull that up. So jump here into studio mode, so I'm not freaking this thing out. And I'm going to just copy this guy in. All right, we are in Restream setup. I'm going to paste it as a reference. And now here's my Restream chat, which is pretty stinking awesome. That I can actually, again, see what my chat was, and go through, and it actually updates in real time. Okay, so now that I've shown you a piece of Restream, it's time to show you OBS. And I think before I get moving into that, does a lot of this kind of, again, when you first see a new interface, it's always going to look confusing. But just a quick recap again, you have all your different social networks here on the left that you've added by pressing the Add Channel button. Once you've gotten all those in, then you would literally go to, you would go, my wife is like, it's time, move through it. You would go through your streaming settings and you're going to copy and paste this into Restream. So that's what we're going to walk you guys through real quick. RTMP links are also really huge with this and really helpful. We'll get into that in just a second. So let's cover a setup. Now, I knew this was going to happen, so I'm sorry. But this is not some 80s music video, but this is, again, what happens when you pull up a live OBS setting. I was not willing to pull in another, I only have 30 minutes to prep this, and I had a lot of technical glitches, but you can see here essentially what the window looks like. And so I'm going to actually crop in just at this point. So this is the bottom panel and what I typically use to, again, edit through all the different scenes here. So if you look on the bottom, these are all of my slides. So I have here Restream setup, I have OBS, this is where it gets crazy. You'll see that I have the OBS window under sources, which is right here. You also see Sony A7R II, which is getting demoed as well. And you notice that there's these boxes over it. So essentially, just like Keynote, you're able to, again, pull in these different pieces and edit them as if they were, you know, just another effect that you're pulling in. You'll see also that I've got the A7R2 audio that's getting referenced here. So anytime there's an audio issue and I say, hey, the audio is not looking, I will immediately look here and see, oh, okay, the audio is not pulling up in there. And it's because something is not wrong with the computer or with the streaming platform. It's happening on the camera itself. It could be that the battery is running low or something. So that's my first indication, actually. Like, it's basically, this is my health of how things are doing. And down here on the bottom, you can see, again, dropped frames live for how long. We've been going for 25 minutes. My goodness, if you're still hanging with me and it's 10 p.m., you guys are awesome. Throw me a heart, make me feel like I exist, and I need to not go to bed. That's my cheap plea for it. You'll see CPU usage as well on the bottom, again, bottom right, and then finally kilobits per second. The limit, the max that you want to use is under 4,000, which sounds really bad because you could probably do 8.5 kilobits. The reason you're going to want to do less, again, is because Facebook, after 20 minutes, we discovered this because YouTube, you can output whatever the heck you want generally, and they're pretty lenient because their servers are insane. Facebook, we were pushing the same quality to YouTube and Facebook went down. So that was really annoying. And it was because, again, the bitrate, they ended up basically hard restricting the bitrate. So you want to set that up correctly. And to do that, you're in settings to set this up. Right now, stop streaming and start recording. Those are the two options that I have. If I were to start recording, I will probably cause the stream to crash. You always want to start recording first. Stop streaming is if I want to just completely cut. And the way that Restream works is the second you hit start streaming, give yourself about 2 seconds and then you're live, essentially, maybe 3. And you can test it too by doing hidden shots, but it automatically posts it into Facebook, into YouTube. I don't have to sit there and go, all right, so I go to my Facebook page, I hit live, and now I've got to go and I've got to copy in the keys into this thing and all this. Like, once you've logged in and authenticated, you need to do any of that, which is really awesome. So for me, again, mental barriers, it lowers those down so you can actually complete and do things properly. Studio mode, really kind of an interesting mode. I'll quick demo it, and I'm gonna have to jump back into OBS setup so you can see what that is doing. It gives you basically the ability to view different things. And again, my apologies for these flickering moments, but yeah, that's basically what that setup is. Settings is kind of that key piece where you're able to kind of go in and edit your settings. And in there is, again, where you're going to put in your configurations, which if we quick hop here back to Restream setup, the streaming settings you'll put here, which is the RTMP values. So you're going to copy your server, which again, you click on it and it copies. You click on your stream key, which I'm not showing you. Sorry for those who want to know what it is and be able to stream under my thing. You can't, but you're going to paste it inside of your settings there. And so once it's in settings, and I will quick demo that for those who are inquiring minds want to know what that is. So we're going to quick, let's see if I can quick just isolate that out without fully sharing my screen and showing you guys everything that I'm doing. Well, suffice to say, you copy and paste it in there. And if you need help walking through that, Restream has got literally the most easy tutorial how to do that. So that's a really great thing to have. But then as you continue going through, you're able to basically, again, set up transitions here so I can change from a fade to a cut. The other crazy thing that I haven't actually demoed here, which you can do, and I'm actually doing to my audio right now, if I were to right-click on my audio and go to, let's see, it's not advanced properties, I'm looking for filters. You can actually do some really awesome things. I can do video delay on here. I can do noise suppression, compressor. If I have a VST that's active here, I can actually do that as well. So if I have plugins, like I have some AI-based plugins that I want to use, I can pull those and run them on the audio feed as well. So those are, again, something that's a huge benefit is to be able to pull on these different filters and utilize them for your audio. For video, you can also color correct. You can run essentially LUTs. Now, it's not for a video editor, it's not true LUTs, but you can basically, again, do a dramatic change, which is great. If you're using iPhone footage, it can actually fix some of the problems that you're dealing with in different scenarios. Really great feature that you're able to do. Now OBS, and I will quick say this is for iPhone, there are some hackware that can kind of make that work, where you can bring it into OBS if you want to have the ability to do slides like what I'm doing right now. And being able to do slides is great for teaching moments, but again, you can still do those kind of things, in other ways as well. Like if you're again doing a Devo in Zoom, you don't really necessarily need to pull Zoom or pull in slides. You could do a share screen, and that's kind of similar things. But for these kind of moments, one of the great things is you don't need to have a full-on, a full-on switcher. If you get the ATM Pro, that does give you the ability to put in, I believe it's 2 media, what do you call those things? For those who are using ATM, please fill in the blank. But one of the things that it lets you do is actually, again, put in media pool. There's typically 2 that you get in, even on the ATM Pro. So you can actually have an animated lower thirds. And one of the things that we did even on here is we did, we do have basically the ability to pull in lower thirds that are animated. Kind of, again, a fun thing. So one of the things before we, before we go too far, I think if there's any other questions here, I'm gonna kind of leave it at this point where we're at. And thank you obviously for everyone who's jumped in on board here and talked through all this. I will demo the fact of, again, some other powerful things that you can do. One of which is pulling in a lower thirds like this. And so basically anytime I cue it on, you can actually use transparencies, animations, and all these kind of things in OBS as well. And pretty awesome feature that you can pull in. But yeah, right now I think we're about to close it out. Again, we ran later than I'd hoped. My typical runtime for these kind of things is around 40 minutes. Normally when we kind of get into long discussions, it's late. So I'm gonna call it for you guys, but I will hold out for the next 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes, minutes for anyone who has a question here while I kind of enjoy a quick little bit of tea. So Robbie, did that answer your question about Zoom Diva, streaming services? And if you want like a walkthrough and stuff that's a little bit more in depth, reach out to me. I can do that. Or if, as you're setting these things up, you're like, hey, I don't understand this, shoot me a text. I can give you guys some documentation on how to make that work. Link to OBS. That is a great point. So give me a second here to pull that up for you guys. And it's called obsproject.com. That is where you can actually download. And one of the other cool things, Restream is restream.io. So that, and again, I want to, I don't want to crash the server, but crash OBS for necessarily pulling in a new thing. Typically, I try and have all my things set up. So unlike ProPresenter, you can't just fix things on the fly. Think of it as the way that ProPresenter should be, where you're preparing your slides ahead of time in advance. Or if you know you don't have the ability to do that, that you are pulling in from a separate computer that's doing that. But one of the great things is I can see here every time that I type that it's hit all of my distribution points. Twitch, the same comments have hit on all those different platforms at the same time. So challenge for those who are joining us later is to jump on Twitch and comment to me from there. The other last little thing before we kind of head off here is, there's the devices and platforms and all these things are changing so quickly. So bear in mind that what works right now may not work in the future, which is why, again, this is a daily podcast for the month of April, because literally I'm seeing tools and technologies come out in the past couple days here that are game changing. Everything from, again, how to hack TikTok and stream live, hack, Instagram's been around for a while. I get nervous about it because of algorithms, because anytime you mess with an API, Instagram and Facebook typically like to be mad at you and shadow ban you or throw you to the bottom rung of algorithms. But some of the cool things you can do with is, again, doing that through Restream. So those are things you keep in mind. The last little piece of detail that I want to, again, mention is, if you, again, have, just jumped on board and haven't seen these podcasts, I'm always looking for new content too. So if you run across a problem, shoot it to me. I'll make a video about it. That's kind of where this is for me. It's a test bed for all these things. today was like, I had all these things planned. I'm like, sweet, it's going to be an easy walkthrough. And then all of a sudden I get Facebook is down, and I'm like, great. Now I have to literally explain why this stuff happens. But it's a valid thing. Why does audio cut out? You know, I'm using Sennheisers to connect, you know, to this. Why is there audio delay? And talking through that. And part of that too is, again, you want the audio to be connected with the video at the same time. You want the sync to be the same. If you introduce, let's say you plug your audio not into your camera and instead into the computer, you're introducing delay because your camera is actually processing the image and then sending it through HDMI, which is encoded. You're adding time between that point and the computer. And so then that's why you'll see video and audio out of sync. That's a problem actually in the prior feed before it just decided to die. That happened. Other typical things that you're going to run into as well, besides things going down, has been, you know, again, being patient when things go live and don't work. It's annoying. Even today, having to literally go live 3 times because of Facebook is annoying, but you deal with it. And so that's where, again, like having a little bit more patience. The more produced that you get, the more that it feels bad when things don't work. But keep pushing through. Those who push through all this annoyance are the ones who are the leaders later. So with that, again, wanted to invite you to check out the Livestream church. I will be copying all these links into those in a note, so you guys are able to have that. And as always, join us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central. Again, I do open up the comments here. If you have a thing that you do want me to cover tomorrow that's a burning, like, I've got to get an answer to this, shoot it to me now. One of the things that, it's funny, I've been communicating and talking with some friends with is actually creating a digital conference that's live, interactive, and those are the things that I'm trying to, again, target is bleeding edge. Now, obviously, there are always moments where systems don't work, but I like the idea of, again, pushing the technology forward, you know, and that's part of the hacker culture. So anyway, guys, last thing before I do step out, I make a point of praying with all of you guys who are in the church, those who aren't and have joined us anyways. I appreciate you guys here. The point of these videos, and to kind of sum it up again, is the goal is to rebuild community. And I feel like there's, of all the things in the world that do a really good job of actually making you feel a part of a community, the church can be that. I know that for some that's not the case, but in my experience, that's been what it is. And so we're trying to push for that, to push for people to be able to still communicate and engage and interact. And so, yeah, I'm going to close in prayer, guys. Thank you for joining us online. It is 10:12 Central. So if you are in Eastern, I'm sorry, it's late, but let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for our time here tonight. Thank you for everyone who's jumped on board with this. Wherever they're at in the journey of life, God, I pray that you would bring about just direction and speak to their hearts. For those who are in your church and are a part of, who are following you, we know that our responsibility is not just to take care of ourselves, it's to take care of others, not to have a clenched hand, but an open hand, God. And we pray, Lord, in the name of Jesus, that you would enable each person who represents a church here to be empowered today as they step onto the workplace tomorrow to, again, rebuild community, that you would give them wisdom and love and grace to do that in each place that they're at. I know it is so tempting in this season right now that everybody is in to, again, focus on yourself. And I pray that you would help all those. I know those who are in here, God, are ones who are not focusing just on themselves. But I pray that you would empower them to, again, think of new ways to stretch the boundaries and push, again, to encourage, to bring hope, to bring the gospel, to bring the light, God, that there is hope after all of this season, God. And, you know, for all those who have lost jobs as a part of this too, that you would bring, again, your encouragement, that you would help them to know that you are there and that you are never leave those, Lord, or forsake those who love you and who serve you, God. And we thank you for the time here today. Bless all those who are here. Help them to get a good night's sleep. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys again. Join us here at 9 p.m. Central at LeCape Inc. We are on all platforms that could possibly stream, and we'll even find some that aren't. So we'll be on video, the Chinese one, for about 5 seconds before they block us. Anyways, great talking with you guys. Have a great night.